on green transport for cities, pathways and viable solutions with respect to EVs and biofuels. So the session is being chaired by Shri Mahmood, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, and moderated by Sulajja Firodia Motwani ji, the founder and CEO of Kinetic Green and the chairperson of our EV Industry Forum of IFGE. Over to Madam Sulajja.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us at this session post-lunch. May I request everyone to be settled down so that we can start the discussions, please. So let me say that we actually have a very interesting panel and an absolutely stellar group of speakers here. And I'm sure that you'll find the inputs very, very informative, educative, and insightful. So let me begin by introducing my the panelists for the panel. We are going to focus on exploring green transport for our cities. And as we all know, I think since morning we've been speaking about the imperative of green transport, the need to work towards a Viksit Bharat, which is self-reliant. So de-emphasizing oil import, looking at green transport also helping us to reduce pollution in our cities, leading to a green India. A green, clean, self-reliant and Viksit Bharat is the vision that we're all working towards. And as we also know that 25% of the emissions that add to pollution are transport emissions, 25 to 33%. So transport is a key factor in pollution creation in our cities. And if the transport becomes green, it will certainly reduce the pollution in our cities in a very, very big way. India has 7 out of 10 most polluted cities in the world. So I think a focus on reducing transport vehicular emissions would be a key priority for our nation. Moving to green transport also reduces costs for people. It also reduces oil imports, so fuel security. So there are multiple benefits. So I think we have therefore an expert group of panelists here who bring different areas of expertise to help us think through this topic. So let me begin by introducing our panel, and then we will take it from there. I'm very pleased to introduce Shri Mahmood Ahmad as the chair of our session. Ahmad sir is currently the Additional Secretary of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. And we are very happy to have you, sir, with us. He's also been government's nominee director on board of NHIDCL since 2021. And he served at various senior positions, both in Government of India and Government of Odisha over the years. So we're very happy to have an authority from the Ministry of Transport to really provide us insights. And we will begin the session after the introductions with sir addressing us. Sir has another pressing meeting, so he might have to leave during the session, and we are very happy, however, that he made time to come and be here with us. In our panel, we also have multiple members of the transport sector. Starting right from my right, we have Mr. Ashish Chutani here with us, who's the Vice President of Maruti Suzuki, and he heads the government and policy affairs for Maruti Suzuki. We have Mr. Santanu Gupta, Dr. Santanu Gupta, who is an energy expert with more than 36 years of experience in oil, biofuels, renewable energy, green hydrogen, waste to energy. And he's been a former executive director at Indian Oil. We look forward to your insights. On my left, we have Mr. Atul Mulay. We've had him in the morning with us. He's a key member of IFGE's efforts. Mr. Mulay is the President and Strategic Business Unit Head for Bioenergy Division in Praj Industries. Again, we both are from Pune, so welcome to Delhi. We have Mr. Ravi Gupta. We have Mr. Ravi Gupta with us, who's the Executive Director of Shri Renuka Sugars Limited. And he has extensive experience in the agri-commodity industry. And he has been honored as the Sugar Man of the Year and he's a driving force behind India's ethanol policy and globally respected industry voice. We also have Mr. SJR Kutty, again a fellow Puneite here with us. He is a Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer at Tata Motors. And he has more than 4 decades of experience in automotive and engineering industry. So we begin with Maruti and we end with Tata Motors. So a fantastic panel. And with that introduction, let me invite our chair of the session, Mr. Mahmood Ahmad, to address us and share his insights with us on how can India truly have a multimodal and a viable green transport, which would make a meaningful difference to our country. With that, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon to each one of you. A lot of dignitaries on the dais, a lot of Puneites also. Yeah, so got to fit in somehow. I see in front of me also, number of them. And it's good that the organizers decided that we'll have Tatas and Maruti on both ends of the spectrum, not sitting too close to each other.
I'm happy to go and sit next.
I'm sure that's what you'll say. So it was meant to trigger that kind of a response. So first of all, thank you all so much, and especially IFGE and to IFGE and Mr. Ganju for according me this privilege of addressing the session and being with all of you here to share my thoughts on this very important and pertinent topic. Of course, you have had very productive sessions in the morning. You were addressed by the Honorable Minister of Road Transport and Highways himself. And I was told he was absolutely involved and in the best of form today and gave you shared all his thoughts, ideas, and vision for the future, which he is well known for. As I'm fond of saying, quite obviously, we are living in challenging times, and we are also living in interesting times. The transitions that we are seeing, because of a lot of reasons that's happening across the world, are throwing up these challenges. But these challenges, and if we are all sitting here and we are ready to address and meet these challenges, what makes life interesting. I just heard Dr. Santanu Gupta mentioning to me that this is a ministry which is very vibrant, which is very involved, which is very connected also, you mentioned. I would like to think so. The leadership of our Honorable Minister, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, and under him, we all work together as a team to address these challenges which are not only national, but actually global, because all these topics that has been either spoken about in the morning today or will be discussed by each of the speakers, actually all emanating from a at a global level. So we have this climate change upon us, we have global warming, and quite obviously the carbon emissions and reduction of carbon emissions is an area which each of us in our own way is focusing on. Quite clearly, so to say, the path before us has been laid out. It depends on us how fast we move on that path, how much can we tailor that path to ensure that the needs of the planet are met at the end of the day. And ultimately, as far as the government is concerned, public service being our bottom line, we need to ensure, can we bring the maximum good to the greatest number as soon as possible. The Ministry of Road Transport is clearly aware of the challenges that lies in front of us, and we have been working on addressing this, making the transport sector more sustainable, more resilient. Of course, the moderator was very kind to mention that some of us are authorities on this subject, etc., etc. I'm not so sure about that, but yes, what I do believe that each of us individually cannot bring about the change. We would require to work together as a team. We as the policymakers, regulators, the industry has to come forward to sort of develop on those lines. There are other thought leaders here. We have I can see transport associations here, and we work with them also very closely, because that is how we understand the problems on the ground. Can we translate all these needs and challenges into policies and our standard formulations. As far as the road transport sector is concerned, in the Ministry of Road Transport, by virtue of administering the Motor Vehicle Act, we are the regulator of this entire sector. We take that role very seriously, and none more important than safety and environment. So as far as green mobility is concerned, clean mobility is concerned, sustainability mobility is concerned, we have been working on it, especially in the last many years now, and primarily in the last decade or so. And you are all aware that India, which was, let's say, in the BS4 series of emission norms, vehicle emission norms, we leapfrogged to BS6 series. And that itself was a challenge. And unlike the previous movements from emission series 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, this time from BS4 to straight away BS6, number one, leapfrog. Number two, it was decided at a single point of time to do it pan-India, across all vehicle categories. So there are many challenges which were taken head-on and which were addressed. And now, 5-6 years down the line, one can probably look back and say that that was one huge achievement that the Road Transport Ministries spearheaded. And I'm very glad to say that all the stakeholders, as I just mentioned, the industry, the intelligentsia, etc., everybody responded very positively. And currently, we are already working on BS7 and in association with all the stakeholders. These are not decisions which can be taken lightly. These are not formulations and regulations or standard which can be developed overnight. What is of crucial importance, and that is what we aim and continuously strive to do, is that we consult each and every stakeholder at every turn, and in all our committees or panels, etc. We have the we have the involvement and participation of all the stakeholders. Apart from this, fuel efficiencies, fuel consumptions, their patterns, etc., are something that the ministry works on very assiduously. And if we can bring about more efficiencies, obviously we are looking at less fuel burnt and less emissions generated. So in many ways, our regulations and our policy making, in some way or the other, comes around to that single objective, other than safety, of course, to ensure that our carbon intensity, our carbon emissions are reduced, and we progressively move towards our net zero targets and net 2070 or thereabouts. But I would like to mention something here also which is extremely important, which is that if it is a single objective, it becomes that much easier to sort of focus on and strive towards. For us, the continuous challenges that come out and come forth is the fact that we have to also simultaneously ensure that India is a young country in terms of its demographics. There are aspirations. We are at a comparatively, let's say, lower stage of development than certain Western countries and some other countries across the world. We cannot let up our focus and move towards making India more developed. And that is also one of the targets which has been set out for all of us by the Honorable PM himself, which is Viksit Bharat, or a developed India by 2047. Now, how do you manage and juggle this twin objectives and hence the twin challenges of ensuring development of not only your own sector, which is the automobile sector in this context, but the country as a whole, while ensuring that the resilience, the sustainability, etc., of your sector continues to build up, and you contribute overall to the national goals of being a net carbon zero or net carbon emissions country or nation by a certain year. So these are the challenges which come out, and towards that, many and different initiatives have been taken by us. Electric vehicles, I think you're the chair of IFGE. So frankly, all the regulations, all the standards that are required for electric vehicles to be prototyped, to be manufactured, to actually ply in the country has been brought about by the Ministry of Road Transport, and quite a few years back. I'm talking of the safety, the power, the consumption, the range, all sorts of standards that are to be built in, which were required for electric vehicles, have been done. In fact, the type approvals, notifications and regulations have also come out. We have also moved beyond that, and we have looked at how the environment would react to that. And we are trying to look at various things. And amongst the things that the Ministry of Road Transport has done, it has waived off registration fees, it's waived off permit fees, it has taken up very strongly with the other ministries. That's not the domain of the Ministry of Road Transport, for reduction in, let's say, GST for electric vehicles. There are income tax benefits for electric vehicles. So I could go on and on. We have regulations on, retrofitment of electric kit to vehicles, to ICE vehicles. We have certain norms for battery swapping. All these are tuned towards ensuring that the electric vehicle, which is one of the transformational, let's say, measures which any nation can take in today's world, where energy security is a concern, where forex for countries like us is an issue, and we need to ensure that we do not spend unnecessarily or just make payouts to other countries on account of fuel, and can we reduce our dependency on that. And then there are many such reasons why electric vehicles have been sort of chosen as one of the very core areas. But having covered all this, let me come to straight away to the issue of alternate fuels. There is absolutely no ministry in the government of India, and I'll thank again Dr. Gupta for bringing it to my notice right now, refreshing my memory, so to say. But the fact that alternate fuels and ensuring that green mobility does not remain just as a slogan, but is actually translated into realities. You talk of CNG, you talk of LNG, you talk of biofuels, you talk of flex fuels, you talk of green hydrogen, you talk of ethanol. In each and every one of these areas, the necessary regulations required, the standards which are to be formulated, have all been issued by the ministry. Of course, you were mentioning that flex fuels, there's something more to be done. I think we were just having a discussion. Yes, of course, on the ground, there are a lot more to be done, but ethanol blending has come to stay. E20 is already a monofuel, but if ethanol blending comes in, and which is already a reality, and we are working on as I speak, and I'm sure it might have been mentioned in the morning also, that we are looking at ethanol 85 or more. So we are going far beyond. And what we are looking at and what signals we are sending to the industry is that please develop flex fuels. There are regulations which are falling into place. There will be those products which will be developed. And if my information serves me right, probably about maybe about 8 prototypes of two-wheelers on flex fuels have been developed. Probably around 5 four-wheelers have been developed on flex fuels, and maybe a three-wheeler also, if I'm not wrong, to run on flex fuels. So frankly, the way I look at it, sky is the limit. It's our job to ensure there's a proper regulatory framework in place, and it's the industry's job and responsibility, obviously, to respond. There is the Ministry of PNG here, and we are in continuous discussions with them. There are so many committees and panels, of which some from the industry is also part of, wherein these issues of more and more blends and more flex fuels are being spoken about, some of which I think people like Mr. Gulati are also part of. So we work extremely closely. So when I come and address gatherings like this, there are so many familiar faces. It's actually like speaking to one's own family. And because over a period of time, you realize that all of us are working towards the same goal. Each of us, as I mentioned, is obviously fulfilling his or her own role in the process. And if we all can come together, and because that, I feel, is the bottom line. None of us individually can bring about that change. And certainly in the government, we do not carry this feeling that it's only the government which can bring about these changes which are necessary. All these measures, all these regulatory measures, all this formulation of standards can only work or rather can only be transformed into reality once there is a response, positive response from all the other stakeholders. And I think, going back to what I said in the beginning itself, that challenging times, interesting times, this is why. For many decades, the vehicles ran on fossil fuels, and we are at the cusp of a huge leap that we can take, wherein alternate fuels can come in a big way. There are many things that need to be done simultaneously, as I've been mentioning again and again, and that's what I urge people from different streams to work on their, and not wait for the other to act, because then perennially it becomes a chicken and egg issue. And let's come out of that mindset. Let's work in our own area as much as we can. And that's what I keep telling my team inside the ministry and in the government, that we need to develop those policies and those regulations which are further necessary. If for flex fuels, if you feel, for instance, that something further needs to be done, please reach out. We are absolutely open. We respond to all suggestions, but with the bottom line, and I keep mentioning that, the greatest good of the greatest number. It is the public service. It needs to be in public interest. And we are dealing with public goods, which are basically air quality improvement. We are dealing with safety, for instance, and those are issues that can be met headlong and can be addressed as a group, as a team, rather than any individual stakeholder. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thanks so much, sir. And let me say that, I speak on behalf of everyone here when I say that the approach and the response and the guidance from MORTH has been phenomenal. I mean, our Honorable Minister's passion and vision and, sincere, I would say, a very sincere intent towards, making green transport possible has ignited so much inspiration among so many members, of the industry, and has got so many people to feel confidence that, okay, what they're trying has a future. And every time we have come with any question, we always get support. And we really thank MORTH for that. I have one question for you. That, India, of course, has always been a unique nation. But are there any other countries where alternative fuels have been deployed at large? I mean, I know that most of the countries are having, e-transition goals. Hybrid has been kind of a stepping stone in many parts of the world. But do we have examples where biofuels, CNG, flex fuels have been deployed, at scale, and it has been successfully driven to be an alternative, which is, at meaningful alternative to the petrol, diesel, electric, or, other technologies?
Well, that's a question. I think there are many more authorities. Forget about the dais, but in the audience, some of them can answer better than me. But yes, the way I look at it, and what's important is that we should not focus on one technology or one fuel, to be more specific here. In all the efforts that the Ministry of Road Transport undertakes, we are very careful to ensure that we continue to remain technology agnostic, in neutral as far as policy making is concerned. Neutral does not mean taking a back seat. Neutral does not mean not taking a stand. Neutral or being technology agnostic does not mean that we do not bet on one or the other. It's not a negative approach. And this I need to make clear by saying that when I say technology agnostic, I mean to say that we are betting on electric vehicles, we are betting on flex fuels vehicles, we are betting on all such vehicles which can run on any different kind of fuel. We are, as I speak, we are currently conducting trials of primarily heavy duty vehicles, of course, on green hydrogen, for instance. That's few years down the line. Probably not even in this decade would we see something, fructifying. But as I speak, we have selected corridors, we have selected certain type of vehicles, we have looked at buses, trucks, we have tried to create a combine of OMC with the vehicle OEMs, and we have asked these combines individually to run hydrogen, both hydrogen ICE vehicles as well as fuel cell vehicles on certain selected routes. What I'm trying to convey is that we feel that it has to be a bouquet, which is the answer. There cannot be only one solution to all else. And India, frankly, is a huge country. We have different needs. We are an agrarian economy. We can look at, enhancing our farmers' income. I mentioned in between that we can look at, we need to look at rather, buttressing our energy security, especially the kind of conflicts that you're now seeing unraveling across the world. There's no better time than to bet on all these alternate fuels and alternate strategies at this point of time. We need to look at any and different kind of fuel. But coming to specific question of yours of another country or other examples, there are so many, and that's why I mentioned there are many in the audience who can answer. But then there is Brazil for ethanol. China, of course, is moved up far distance away as far as electric vehicles is concerned. I feel personally that Russia is doing a lot as far as LNG is concerned. And we also need to look at fuels which can work in extremely cold climates, difficult terrain like Ladakh, for instance, or very hot and humid climates. And so there are many and very different reasons for all kinds of solutions to come up and flourish. And yes, there are good examples across the world. We can learn from each of them, and we can try and work what works, and we can try and pick up almost all of them, and especially the ones which work best for our country and specific conditions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your guidance and insights. I'm very happy to share with all of you that we have been joined by three more speakers. I would like to welcome Mr. Rajneesh Rana, who has joined us on the dais here. He's the head of Convergence at CESL, which is, as you know, a subsidiary of EESL. And CESL has been driving many interesting programs. For example, e-bus program at CESL, the EV charging infrastructure, and some of the electric 3 and 4-wheelers and other schemes. So we would love to get some insights from him on these initiatives. We're also joined by Mr. Ritesh Das, who is here with us in the first row. He's the VP of Strategy and Business Development at Shree Sai Green Mobility Limited. And he brings a lot of expertise to us in corporate and project finance, private equity fundraising, and infrastructure project execution as well, along with experience in fossil fuel and renewable energy areas. And we also have Mr. Anuj Sharma, who's the founder of EV Expo. He's been an integral part of IFGE, and he runs, of course, has experience in EV industry, but also is the founder of EV Expo, which is the world's largest electric vehicle expo. So sorry that we are short of space on the dais, but we welcome you to this session as well. So with that, I think we'll quickly move to questions for our panelists. I will request everyone to be as brief as possible so that we can get more insights and we can have a wonderful chat, because we have so many interesting speakers. And let me maybe begin by talking to Mr. Kutty at Tata Motors. And I'm starting with him because Tata Motors has been really a leader in the electric car space and one of the early believers in e-mobility. So let's start the green transport chat with Tata Motors here. I would like to know that, having been in part of the EV space for a long time, where do you see the penetration of electric cars in 5 years from now? And how do you also see electric commercial vehicles, delivery fleets, and other segments? Where do you feel you will deploy this technology, and do you have any other ideas in mind in terms of the other segments of the market?
So thank you, Sulajja, for that. Yes, we have been early adopters because we believed that the Sustainable Development Goals have to be really resolved for not just SDG 13, but perhaps most of them. When in the morning we listen to the air quality issues, we know the water scarcity in different parts of the country. We also recognize the biodiversity loss. We also recognize SDG 13, which is climate goals. We also know the heat. We know of unsustainable cities. And when you look at all 16 of them together, plus the 17th one, where we are actually partnering amongst goals, we recognize that there's only one terminal solution that we have to get to, is an electrified future. And why do we say this? Is because all said and done, if there is one technology that gives energy independence completely, agnostically, irrespective of what is the feedstock that goes to make electricity. Electricity is ubiquitous. It is available in every home in this country, and it is easily possible through technology to charge our vehicles, big, small, or otherwise, through just plugging into the grid. Now, this is a sort of energy independence that many countries would be absolutely delighted to have, and we shouldn't give that away. Add to that, electric vehicles, typically we only talk in terms of tailpipe emissions, but simply because something called regenerative braking, which are there in the vehicles, the clutch wear is practically, clutches we don't talk about, but if I were to talk about road wear, which is tire wear, or brake pad wear, it is nearly nil. So if electric vehicles were to run, what would probably be a 50,000 kilometer run for a tire, we almost get, our data shows that we get the whole lifetime to be able to manage with tires, same with brakes. And then I come to the energy independence coming from whatever the fossil fuel replacement. And now with many of those technologies, we are completely agnostic to all of that. Yes, we have a challenge about many of the materials used to make batteries are not resident in this country. But as we go through this whole journey and we create circular economy practices, we are going to get there. We also have to recognize that the energy grid in this country, one frequency, one grid, one nation. If you're really to adopt this across the country, there's no better solution than electric vehicles. So we betted on that. And we also knew that the air quality issues, if you really look at 40 of the biggest cities in India, figure in the top list of cities where air quality is a huge problem. When we are actually bracing with all these challenges, there's no other alternative but to go to an electrified future. And very often we also say in Tata Motors that an electric vehicle is actually a harbinger of change. We probably still look at electric vehicles as, a powertrain switch from a diesel or a petrol or a gasoline or whatever it is. But it's actually a technology revolution. It's very much like our smartphone. A smartphone is not like our, the regular phone that we were using. It unleashes a whole set of productivity, a whole set of new businesses. It spawns new thinking. And therefore, electric vehicle also becomes the model on which complete transformation of a country can depend. We need it in this country, and we really believe that in the transport sector, electrification can do what smartphones did in the mobile telephony. I'll talk about it in greater detail if we have time.
Thank you very much. Well, I opened with Tata Motors, but let me move to Maruti now, who is, of course, the car giant in India, but a new entrant in e-space. Their entry into electric vehicle space was eagerly awaited, and there was, will he not kind of for a long time. So very happy that you have jumped into the electric car segment. Would love to know what has been the experience since the launch of e-Vitara. I believe that exports of the car have also started. And how do you see the future at Maruti when it looks at green transport? Is the focus going to be as unequivocally electric as we heard from Tata Motors, or do you believe that there is a multimodal approach? Would love to have your perspective.
Thank you. Respected Mahmood sir, members on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, IFGE, thank you very much for this opportunity. Sulaji, thank you for your appreciation for Maruti. May I broadly share our EV plans, our efforts in EV. Over the next 5 years, we are investing 70,000 crores, majority into spaces like electric vehicles, CBG, renewables in this area. Many of us may not know, but we are the largest and probably the only exporter of electric cars from India to global countries outside. When we're talking about global countries, we're talking about UK, Norway, Denmark, Belgium, Germany, Netherlands, France, Switzerland, Japan, and all of these countries we are exporting our cars. It's been 6 months journey till now, and we are exported close to 30,000 cars, and the response is so positive, we are probably doubling it up from here this year. And if all goes well, hopefully this year we'll be the largest producer of electric cars in India also. Of course, this is just one product, but we are continuously looking at bringing the entire EV ecosystem. Uh, we are today probably we have what 2,000 chargers installed by Maruti. We are looking at 1 lakh charging points by Maruti in the next probably 4 years. We have trained over 1.5 lakh service technicians, who can take care of EVs at our service centers. Talk about any other parts of ecosystem like battery recycling, 100% service guarantee, marketing ads, buyback schemes. Basically, everything to boost customer confidence, because we also believe EVs are the need of the hour and there's no doubt about it. But there is also one critical aspect, which is India-specific situation. If you look at global countries, आप देखिए last 10 सालों में जिन भी global countries ने EV पे काम किया है, last 10 सालों में उन countries का अगर मान लीजिए income levels 10 गुना इंडिया से ज़्यादा है, chargers penetration 10 गुना इंडिया से ज़्यादा है, their penetrations, for example, Europe is what, 16%, Korea is 15%, US is 8%. So India is, we are not going to see 100% EV penetration or 50% EV penetration very soon. Okay. And this is where, we need to bring in complementary technologies, technologies which can complement EVs in reducing emissions. And for example, one such technology is hybrids. So, half of the time it's running on electric mode, do not have much dependence on chargers. And the most important thing is the particulate matter emissions. As you talk about, cities being unclean, the particulate matter emissions are near zero. To summarize, EVs are critical, they are need of the hour. We're looking at not just product, but entire EV ecosystem to boost customer confidence. At the same time, considering India realities, we would need to accelerate all critical clean pathways, hybrids, CNG, biofuels. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So here, I would like to offer my perspective, looking at the two ends of the spectrum. And we also heard Honorable Minister today on, whether electric is the right way to go, or, different alternate fuels, hydrogen, hybrid. I personally feel that we have to look at the problem from the point of view of the customer, not from the point of view of the manufacturers. And the solution which is best for that customer or for that segment is what's going to emerge. Like Honorable Minister said, the technology has to be convenient, it has to be intuitive, it has to be cost effective. So for different product segments, I think different technologies are suitable. If I were to give example, for example, we at Kinetic Green are into last mile mobility. So we make electric two-wheelers, electric three-wheelers, golf cars. In my view, for this product segment, which is intra-city, with not more than 100 kilometers running a day, and cost being very important, electric is the most convenient and cost-effective solution. If you try to give a hybrid powertrain in a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler, it's going to be too expensive and it's not needed, because the person can just come home and charge their vehicle at home. But if I look on the other hand at long-range trucks, which have to go thousands of kilometers, unless there is highway charging, how can electric become possible? So maybe there have to be alternate solutions. Maybe something else will be more cost-effective for that kind of usage. If you look at vehicles which have to run in extreme temperatures, for example, that's a perspective. So I think that the right solution comes not from the manufacturers, but from what the customer needs. And different product segments and the usage patterns will determine what is the right solution, what may work, what may not work. And again, as we said, India is a very unique country with different customers, different usage, different product form factors. And I think, that's what makes it very diverse and interesting. But we can't force anything. We finally have to make sure that the customer is provided with a solution that's intuitive, cost-effective, and convenient to use. And that's what will work for that customer. So I think we have to, find the right mix for that right customer. So that's sort of my perspective on, what's going to work. What's going to work is what's going to work for the customer. So moving on, I think, Mr. Rana, I'd like to ask you, I mean, coming from manufacturers now to deployment experts. We know that CSL did a big project for electric buses. We'd love to know more about that. And do you see that similar projects can be done for electric cars for government fleets? I know that one project was started 10 years ago, but then again, now we have many more models, I think that time there was not enough choice, there were only one or two models. Is that on the cards? What about any plans to aggregate three-wheelers and two-wheelers for the gig economy? So from, just before mandate, this can be a good way to bring more vehicles on the road through aggregation. So do you see any plans of CSL to bring thousands and lakhs of EVs on road through such ideas?
Thank you, ma'am. And when you talk about thousands and lakhs, I think we are reaching about that figure, because almost 39,000 buses are already being tendered out. So that figure is not far. And as far as the car is concerned, yes, we have started, but you have to see one thing, that these are the programs which are being implemented on behalf of a government, and government is the stakeholder in that one, whether it's a state government to take these ones. For the cars also, we have started around 10 years ago with the government mandate, with the charging stations also. And almost, not much, but when we started, only one manufacturer was there, and we bid out for around 10,000 electric cars. And overnight, another manufacturer also start manufacturing these cars. So that kind of impact the volume can create, we have all seen also that one. As far as the two-wheelers and three-wheelers are concerned, it's very difficult, because, as I said, that the counterparty is the government in all these programs. When we talk about the two-wheelers and three-wheelers, these are the programs which has to be based for the individual. So as an individual, I have my own choice about the model, about the brand, about the color, about the features. So it becomes very difficult to aggregate for an individual. Yes, the institutions have come up, and what value addition we can create, that also we have to see. I can't basically just simply aggregate and what the manufacturer is giving to me, and I will pass on to the end consumer. So there has to be some value addition in that one, first of all. And for individual, meeting the individual desires and criteria, it becomes very difficult, because you have to have aggregate, then only you can bring down some cost, you can bring some value addition to all the things. When I have, if you take the example of the cars, when you are talking about that we started, it was only one or two models. Now we have all the models with us, naturally, which are comply with the Make in India compliance and all this thing. But in even the models also, we have a unique bid out, where is some formula is there, where the government can order any of the vehicles and we can provide that one. But when I go for the individual, it becomes difficult. You may be requiring a blue, another one may be required a red, then one is required the A brand, the another one required a B brand, and in the brand also there is a multiple model also is also available over there. Then there is a service network is also there, that the dealer network also, the individual company has to see that if they will go by this route, then what the value addition to the dealer network they are doing about the serviceability of the vehicle, maintenance of the vehicle. So these are the challenges, but we are still open for that one. If government will come up with some scheme, we are definitely over there to help them out.
Thank you, sir. So, but are there plans to do larger bus aggregation or car fleets for the government on the cards? Anything for the coming 1 or 2 years that you can share with us?
So what large you are looking for, I don't know, because as I said,
thousands and lakhs.
So the last tender which was concluded in the month of January was of 11,000 number of electric buses. So it is, I think, one of the largest, barring one country we all know. Yeah. And only the last week, another tender of around 6,200 buses is also being concluded on that one. And the third one will come up in the next week also. So the government is now to start worrying whether the manufacturers are ready to kind of deliver these kind of buses or not. So that is also one of the now the thing which is coming up.
So is there a vision of having a certain percentage of buses as E, or I mean, is there a vision with which this mandate has been given to CSL?
So the government has targeted by that 2028-29, we should have at least 50,000 buses, which I think we have already done 40,000 buses. We are on the track, I think, before the date the government will achieve. And in the government sector, if we'll talk about the state transport undertakings and other buses, there are around 2 lakh buses only. So 50,000, which always government wants that the prices should come down and the state should adopt automatically, is there. But now the next set of target is to target about the school bus and the institutional bus, which is a large chunk basically in India of around 20 lakh buses, almost 7-8 lakh buses are in that segment is there. Cars, naturally it is going up. I think now the bus has seen the day of light. I think no STU is now, no more is interested in buying the diesel buses. It's all going. Same with the cars also, most of the government institutions now coming up with the hiring of the e-cars. So hopefully for the other segments also, the e-trucks and the tractors also we are working. So in a few years' time, that will also happen.
No, that's great. So I think making e-buses and e-cars and e-trucks is going to be good business. Thank you for that. Moving on to a little bit of chat on alternative fuels. Let me go to my left and talk to Atul ji. What do you see, as the role of CBG, compressed biogas, and how can it become, or can it become, as common and easy to find as petrol or diesel? And where do you see its applications in the context of what I was saying earlier in terms of the customers and the segments and the usage? Where do you see it becoming, popular?
Thank you, Madam. Good afternoon, everybody. From electrifying from both the sides, now I'm talking about the biofuels. Of course, Santanu ji is here from a global biofuel alliance. Probably he has much better things to say. But having said that, the CBG is one of the area which is coming up. I would say it's very, very high level of commitment coming from the government. And everyone wanted to see that the success of ethanol blending program at 20%, how can we really leverage that success to the CBG? And that's why the government has launched various schemes, Satat program, Govardhan program, and now it's coming as Sampurna Govardhan program. So 5,000 plants announced, a couple of lakhs crores of investment announced 5-6 years back, but somehow it has not seen the reality as against the ethanol blending program. So there are a few major aspects to this, why it not seen the reality, and probably there are various solutions to that also. See, one of the major challenge was from the CBG side, the feedstock availability, feedstock aggregation, feedstock supply and supply chain management. And typically when we see the CBG, it is coming from the West. So even the characteristics of a feedstock is always a challenge, that the BMP, which is a biomethanation produced, which is different from the press mud, which is different from a rice straw, which is different from municipal waste. So that's one thing. So sustainable feedstock was a challenge. At the same time, evacuation was also a challenge. Now evacuation, and see, it's unlike a liquid biofuel. The liquid biofuel we can store. So probably you have 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days storage capacity. In a compressed biogas, you can't store. Probably you can store for 8 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours a day. But otherwise it's very difficult to store that. And then again the transportation cost. You are carrying the gas, and then you are carrying the gas, as you know from automobile side, what is the capacity you can carry there. So these are the few challenges have seen, but now all ecosystem holders started coming together. We have seen a success from a press mud side so of now. We also seen a success from a biomass side also. So some of the plants which are running at the capacity of 60% to 80% started realizing the margins, and they're starting getting paid back. But at the same time, one question always remains from a CBG producer or project developer perspective. As a green molecule, it is getting discounted price over the fossil molecule. And that's always a pain area for a CBG manufacturer, that you have been always asked to discount a price from a CNG running price of a CNG to 85% or 80% the value, and you're asking that is to be renewable energy. That's the challenge remain. The second challenge comes from the waste. When we just started the waste will have a zero value. But in reality, when you started gathering the waste, the value becomes multiply. And then the feedstock cost is not in your hand. End price is a discounted price. So these are the challenges. So again, government is handling that side also. One important aspect also parallel happening, that because of this realization, the co-product valorization becomes a very, very important thing. And that's why the technology player like us as a Praj, we come to the picture that you have to have a co-product valorization. You just can't have a one feedstock and one end product. So you have a co-product valorization, and the bitumen, biobitumen is one area. From any agro feedstock, whether it is rice straw, whether it is napier grass, whether it is bagasse, we can generate bitumen and bio-bitumen can be produced. And in fact, the morning we have signed, that is a MOU signed between CRRI and IFGE. So bio-bitumen can be blended, and as I said, we are importing the bitumen. So that's one area. So is the case from a placement side or even from the biomass side, the FOM, the fermented organic manures and liquid fermented organic manures has a very high value. When I say high value, but it is not realized, because any agriculture product to establish that is a high value, it takes between 3 years to 5 years to establish. And 3 to 5 years establishing that too at a farmer. Because it's a much more challenging. So, but today I will say our experience with Indian Potash Limited, which is a plant near in UP. So they have seen it that the farmers now started buying the liquid FOM and also started buying the FOM, because they realized the yields available or the yield where they were getting from the same area from a cane, now they have much better yields. So the moment you have realized it, and then you have probably a co-product valorization which is coming closer, the economic sense will come. The moment you have economic sense and evacuation also parallelly happening, the project profitability we can improve, and then we can really work on that. Parallelly, government also started thinking about making a CGD network. And in fact, I think Santanu, you were one of the pioneers in making that CGD network thing, the GALE. Now they want to have a end-to-end connectivity from a CGD network. If that happens and we have an assured offtake arrangement possible, then the CBG success, I would say it's a matter of another couple of years, you will have a good success of a CBG plant.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. Let me turn to our expert, Dr. Gupta here. So we would like to know, at a sort of a macro level, how do you see the roadmap for biofuels evolve in India in terms of technology deployment? And do you believe that the alliance, the Global Biofuels Alliance, can play a role here to set a global standard for example, for flexi-fuel engines? Or what other role can be played by the alliance which will make a meaningful difference to the members?
Thank you. A very good afternoon to all of you. And thank you very much, Mr. Ganju and the IFGE team, doing very great work, because it's this advocacy which is required to propagate the new thoughts so that it gives confidence to the ultimate people. That's the financing, which we always face a challenge. So far the journey of ethanol is concerned, biodiesel is concerned, or the CBG is concerned, now SAF and marine biofuels, we are working on that. Hydrogen, biohydrogen also, it's not much talked about, but there's a lot of potential there also. Having seen this journey for last 14 years, we started ethanol journey in 2012, it was only 0.6% blending. Literally, Atulji will bear me out, we were running after everybody to give 1 liter of ethanol, please. That was we used to beg, because we had a target of 5% all OMCs. I am from Indian Oil, so this all OMCs were mandated that 5% blending by 2017. Sorry, 2007 initially. It was a plan of 2002. If you remember, 2001-2, this EBP program started. And 2012, we were landing at 0.6% blending. And 2017 was targeted for 20% blending at that point of time. So this was, I think, Raviji is smiling. So, and the only sugar mills were there who were supposed to give ethanol, because it was C-heavy molasses only allowed for conversion. No other molasses. Grain you forget, because food versus fuel and other things, lot of conditions were there. So from there, today when I see that we have 800 crore liters additional in 12 years time, when our requirement was just 60 crores, we used to get 15 crores. Now our requirement is around 1200 crores and we are getting 2000 crores. I think it's a big hand from everybody for the country. This is the strength of our country, which can be changed with the right policy and right attitude and right impact. And that's the impact we always say that is happening. Yes, you are raising hand, please. Oh, okay. You're supporting that. Thank you. And thanks to each sugar mills, though when we meet, they come and hug me and say, sorry sir, we are in red. अगर आप उतने फाइटिंग मोड में हमको नहीं बोलते तो हम लोग नहीं जाते, तो आज भी हम रेड में रहते. But today you see the share market, the way we are performing. So that's the thing, that's how everyone in the ecosystem gets benefit. It's not question of only decarbonizations. It's not question of replacing fossil fuel. It's a question of making the GDP grow, making the people feel happy. Where it was 2007, the cane area, Ganju Sahab, number pata hai aapko? 26,000 crore liters. It was farmers due from sugar millers. Now where is those? No committee is formed, no discussion is taking, farmers are also happy. So that's the area where we are standing in a very, very crossroad today. Nature God, Mother has said that I am not happy. So let's do something under there is a destruction, no creation happens. So the whole world is under destruction today, right? And this is the time when we don't get opportunity like this to really establish this area of bio, which is on your backyard. You need not to import anything. Truly speaking, anything. We are talking about ethanol. We are talking about EV. We have heard a lot of discussion between EVs and all those things. But your security in manufacturing battery is still not in your hand. So you have to be, who is the energy source? The car runs on battery, right? The vehicle runs on battery, right? Like your engine runs on oil, your engine runs on gas. If CBG is there, Atulji, are you required to import any of the equipments in the CBG plant from outside? Any of the feedstock from outside? That's there. Ethanol, same story. Biodiesel, same story. If we are coming to sustainable aviation fuel and this marine biofuels, we are coming to that. It's all the same story. India can really replace 50% of your energy straight away. And coming to another stage, because I am from 40-year oil man, basically I have a lot of guilt feelings that I have emitted so much of CO2 only to sell my fuel, right? So when I see that, then another extreme good area is if oil comes down steadily. Okay, we can take for the debate sake, oil 20% oil consumption comes down in India. Who is going to be suffering? First financial hit is on oil companies because the energy sourcing is getting diversified. Right now Maruti is producing CBG, thank you. And this means the oil companies' market share is being taken by everybody, right? Because earlier days it was the only source of revenue for you. So what to do? Then all oil companies are being mandated to start building CBG plants. You know, IOC, when I left IOC on superannuation, we have given 1,000 CBG plant has been given. It has been written into the strategic plan when we plan for 2046 net zero. Right? But fossil is not going. No, don't think that fossil is fully going. But the major advantage is your logistics. See, the pipeline built, the refineries built over a huge 100 years, this needs to be utilized. And the biofuel is a direct replacement of that. If the pipeline can pump petrol, diesel, kerosene, it can pump ethanol, it can pump biodiesel, and that is in terms of SAF along with ATF. So that asset is not idle. See, you have to take in totality when you are going for economic sense. Now, that's also ensured through this replacement, okay? Now, coming to the question of Madam, in the, how GBA can this? Exactly what we are trying to do today. If you see, it's a very, it's a painful situation for the globe. When we see the countries, like only a handful of countries, 10, 12 countries, they have a real biofuel policy. That moment we talk about US, you talk about Brazil, you talk about sometimes Argentina, Italy, and India has taken a position in last 10 years. In every global meeting, I was in G20, I was at G7, India is mentioned because of Satat and the ethanol E20. That's the positioning how our country has made. And here I am there to support from GBA. Already we are in touch with Mr. Atulji, the industries here, so that we can harmonize the policy requirement. And the more and more country come to that policy, adopt those policies, we have a success stories, and this aligned for them for the requirement. And they don't know that foodstock where is running and what he can do that. We are here to guide you. And India is getting benefited not only for this, because India is going to have a trade, which is a green trade. We are going to have a green trade corridor, which is very initial stage, we have thought. Because every region, just see irony again. Sorry, I'm taking just 2 minutes extra. Regional, if you study, if you think about it, it does not need very big detailed science. The regions are more or less, soil characteristics are same, air is same, water qualities are same. But unfortunately, in the regional basis, globe has not taken that stage of ethanol, biodiesel. Like today, if I give, can you tell how much Sri Lanka is blending, ethanol blending, diesel blending, whether any plants are there? Bangladesh? No? I am not taking Nepal and Bhutan. Okay, we are giving supplies from there. Pakistan, they have a big, very strong gas economy. But how many CBG plants? So this is the area where we should, charity begins at home, because my home is not only here. We are taking up bold these things beyond geopolitics, right? Because energy doesn't wait for anybody. Every human being needs to cook. If the LPG is not there, everybody started talking. Even my grandma is telling, Hormuz? What is Hormuz, Baba? Everybody is speaking about Hormuz. I said, yeah, so, उनको समझना भी मुश्किल है. उनको लगे हम नॉब खोल दिया बस गैस आ गया. This is my right. I can waste it. I can do anything. But please, you cannot. Being an IOC man, I know 60% of LPG, and it is not only one day. That this is the day of every day for an oil man. Because when you're almost 88% is coming from outside, one VLCC delayed, that is very large crude carrier, delayed and got stuck when I was in Haldia. You are gone, one day dry out, what to do? And try alternative, this, that, cross movement. So now, Lord has given you that right. Try to understand internally that yes, we have a role to play. The first role, we should consume less. Second role, we should not put on AC just like that. Third role, we will not take for joy ride anytime, because your petrol you are using, no? 90% comes from outside. It's not your product. You have no right to waste it, right? First, your need should be fulfilled. And that is where biodiesel or biofuel is placed today. And that is where GBA is fully committed to take it forward. Thank you. Sorry for the taking time.
Thank you. Very interesting. Thanks a lot. Just on the same topic of biofuels, let me turn to Mr. Gupta. I think today in Honorable Minister's talk, I think he shared with us that it's very hard making money as a sugar mill. But then you are sitting on the gold mine, which is the biomass, the bagasse, the ethanol. So do you think that these can really help, a sugar mill become a multi-energy hub? How can we have a concrete plan where we can use this ethanol as a booster or as a support, but to really become a producer of power? What is the largest opportunity for ethanol that you believe exists, for people like, who are engaged in this business?
Thank you. In fact, we had very spirited speech from Santanu ji, and those who do not know, he is the one who has been the major force behind ethanol blending program, has been working closely with him. And so to answer your question, sugar industry does not have to equip itself. It is already equipped to provide all kinds of green energy. I can quote you an example. We were talking about because these days, the days of electric vehicles. Why I say these are the days of electric vehicle, because this exactly used to happen 10 years back with ethanol. I remember during the COVID period, the pressure from government was so much to put up ethanol plants that there was a weekly call. Government used to give interest subvention scheme. There was a weekly call that you have taken the interest subvention scheme, but why has your plant not completed? What is the bottleneck you are facing? Is the bottleneck PISO? So we will get it expedited. Is the bottleneck Ministry of Forest and Environment? We will get it expedited. And the industry was given so much of comfort, so much of enthusiasm, and so much of force of the government that industry went ahead and put up the ethanol plant. And today the industry is in a situation that we have a capacity of 2,100 crore liters of ethanol and against a consumption of 1,300 crore liters. And so to answer your question, we don't have to go any far. We are already equipped as far as supply is concerned. And since EV is being discussed, let me tell you, the oldest producer of green power is sugar industry. We have made cogeneration based on bagasse cogeneration plant. At least we have been doing it last 40 years, when even solar power and wind power was not even heard of. And we continue to do that. Then that's ethanol, CBG from press mud. Industry is all set to put up press mud based plants. But what is it lacking? The lacking is that today, as Atulji also mentioned, that for a green CBG, you want to pay 85% less. If we have to sell our CBG, we have to put it in the casket and sell it, which is absolutely economical and unviable, right? And as far as SAF is concerned, which is another low-hanging fruit for the sugar industry is absolutely equipped because the raw material being ethanol, SAF technology is evolved, SAF demand under CORSIA is known, right? For India, it's a low-hanging fruit, and sugar industry is absolutely equipped to do that. But what we lack is the policy. So it is not that sugar industry is not ready. Sugar industry is completely equipped, capable, and forward-looking to do all the green energy. The question is the power, policy. And policy is something which is not driving it well. Somebody raised a question, and this came repeatedly, that let the customer decide what he wants to buy. Right? Customer will decide what you offer to him. For example, if you offer him an electric vehicle cheaper by 0 GST, why will he buy a flex fuel car? Suppose if you offer him to buy a coal-based electric vehicle, electric power, and call electric vehicle a green vehicle, he is very happy. He doesn't want to know how the electricity is made, right? So, and in India, there is no competition between electric vehicle or CBG or ethanol or any other source of energy, including hydrogen. Our country, we are importing 85% of our crude to meet our transportation vehicle. Everybody will have a space, right? So what we need in the country is the holistic policy. For example, it is not that today you came to know that suddenly ethanol capacity has jumped to 2,100 crore liters. Ethanol plants take 3 years to come. So when you sanction the ethanol plant, you know that plant will come, and plant was under construction. So that is the time a holistic view should have been taken, that what will we do with this ethanol? And we are far, far behind. I was speaking to the colleagues from the OEM side, and they were saying that as far as two-wheeler is concerned, we are all set, we are ready. There are 7 prototypes which is already there. And in terms of flexi-fuel cars, the technology is already evolved. It is implemented in Brazil. Brazil is doing it since last 30, 40 years, where they have flexi-fuel cars. Brazil's total 40% of the transported energy is coming from ethanol. All we need in this country is one ministry, one center point to decide the transportation policy of this country. Today, what we are having is a fragmented approach. COKM, with all due, everybody is doing a fantastic job, but QM will say that I am only worried about the tailpipe gases, right? Then today, somebody will say from the MNRE that I am absolutely for electric vehicles because I want to promote solar and this energy. You come to the Ministry of Food, they will say that I have surplus sugar, I am interested in ethanol, right? MPNG will say that I am not interested in any of these because this cost me more. If I pay for CBG higher price, if I pay for ethanol higher prices than petrol, it doesn't suit me, right? But then who will take the decision? There has to be a central body which has to drive the policy of the industry, and that policy should be so clear that everybody knows in which pocket he is lying. And all of us have a space. Somebody mentioned also that even in Europe, Electric vehicles are only 15-16%. You can't expect India will run 100% on electric vehicle, and you can also not expect that India will run fully on the flexible vehicles. Industry will evolve. So as far as your question is concerned, I would say the sugar industry is absolutely equipped. The capacity is more than what you need. All you need is the policy framework, and for that policy framework, I have been working on ethanol blending program, policy since last 20-25 years. And when Mr. Shantanu says that not even 13 crore liters was available, out of that 13 crore, I think 3 crores was mine, right? So, but then there was a major push. Now we have to take a next step, and the learning is that even a grandmother, even somebody's mother is asking, "ये hormuz क्या है? इतना बड़ा crisis है." And one thing, sorry, I'm taking a little bit more time, but I must deliberate on this. Today, the LPG crisis, right? Restaurants are not working. You go to a restaurant, I don't know how many how many goes to the smaller restaurant. I go very often because I like food. You can make it out from my physique. Menu has become half because they cannot cook all the items because they do not have enough gas. Roadside restaurants close. What all did you know, what you have to do? We have CBG, we could have promoted CBG. And even today, for example, ethanol run stoves, which countries like Africa implemented, we are taking time to implement. I will give you just a simple calculation. Today, the commercial gas cylinder is around 2,050 rupees, right? Per ton, per kg of gas costs around 110 rupees. Ethanol caloric value is roughly 80% less. Right? So you can actually sell ethanol at 80 rupees a liter, which you are today selling at around 69 as far as sugarcane is concerned, and run your stoves. And nobody will have a problem. But what is happening conversely today, that every household is gone for the electric chula. Right? And where is that electricity coming from? Somebody is burning coal somewhere. So what I need is that we need a rationalized system and one stop for every holistic policy in this country, as far as energy is concerned, may it be transportation and may it be cooking. Thank you.
Very interesting perspective. Thank you. I would like to now just continue along the policy discussion. I'll come to Mr. Das. Mr. Das, what do you believe? You are passionately driving energy transition initiatives. What do you think are the enablers required from the policy side, whether it is financing or financial structuring, project financing, or some of these key large sort of macro picture policy drivers? What do you think is required to find the right solutions and to have people who have the product and the will to have the right funding and financing?
So I will just brief you about this thing. So see, the transport sector in India as well as across the world are trying to address the congestion, emission, affordability and energy.
Maybe a little louder.
Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yes. So the transport sector, not only in India but across the world, they are trying to address congestion, emission, energy securitization and affordability. I think the answer for all this thing is public transportation. And but what happens that a lot of people are not preferring to public transportation, as we have seen in the presentation of Mr. Srinivasan, that the public transport mode is reducing actually. It has reduced to 25%. Here, so we are in the PRT. Actually, PRT, before I tell anything, I just wanted to explain brief about the PRT. I will take 30 seconds. So PRT is a driverless, autonomous, electric-driven pod which moves on a segregated lane, which can be elevated or add grade, and it can put an additional layer to the public transport and can connect to the various multimodal transport like metro. And see what happens that why the people don't prefer the public transportation, because there's one critical thing is that the absence of last mile connectivity. So PRT can provide that last mile connectivity. We are doing one project in 8.8 kilometer in BKC connecting Bandra and Kurla station. And when we approach the lenders for that project actually, which is a very unique project, so everybody is agreeing that it's a very unique project, but nobody is willing to fund actually, because they were saying that technology is new. But technology, it's a 10 years old technology, it's working actually. Secondly, what they're saying, traffic guarantee. I'm saying, so the banks are there in itself in the BKC, all the headquarters are there, they themselves are seeing this, the traffic, but still they want that surety. So I think the government should come over there, they should give some incentive or some direction to the financial institutions to fund such kind of project, because these kinds of projects are very important. See, just to brief you, actually PRT is, I told you that it's like a pod which is like a car actually. Because of light rolling stock, the infrastructure is less. Cost is 1/3 of the project, metro project cost actually. So it's no brainer actually, and it can connect it to the metro station like what we are doing in the BKC. We are connecting to the Bandra and Kurla substation, high-speed train station. So, but there should be some incentive or some direction should be given from the government. What we urge from this platform, that they should come with the PRT Act like they have given the Metro Act, so that what will happen that the people who are the authority, they can give us some, the decision making can be faster actually.
What does PRT stand for?
PRT stands for Personal Rapid Transit.
Okay.
So it is also a public transportation, but it's a personalized. It's a 6-seater kind of thing.
So you kind of buy a ticket, you come out of the metro, you
It's
sit in
same
this,
like a metro.
it takes you on a route,
Yeah,
but it's driverless.
it's a driverless.
It's a pod, it's a driverless pod which is running on certain
Segregated
fixed
lane,
routes.
yeah. And the good thing is that it is a demand responsive and point to point. So what happens that if you want to go to, from first station, you want to go to 10th station, it will not stop at all the stations. So all the stations are offline. So it will pool the people, it will go directly to that.
But it needs a separate lane like the...
It's a segregated lane.
Okay,
It's
like
just
the...
like a metro.
Okay.
Metro, but it is a very lean infrastructure.
But why can't just a normal, e-auto or a bike taxi or a
So then
regular can do that?
what you are doing, that we are doing, pollution is one thing, but e-rickshaw doesn't. But you are again occupying the road space. This is a separate road lane actually. And because it is autonomous, the headway is 2 seconds. It can transport close to 10,000 people per direction per hour actually. It is there in the Heathrow airport. It is there in the UAE Masdar city. And it is also there in the Rotterdam, Netherlands.
So you are saying that if there are interesting transport solutions, then that also should form part of the policy makers' thought process.
Yeah, I think that when authorities are asking for the comprehensive mobility plan or the master plan of the airport or metro, they should, or the metro, some new metro they are saying, they should include this PRT, or they should at least evaluate. It can increase their ridership. See what happens for any infrastructure project. If you say, I think there are 19 metro projects already operational in India, and none of them are profit making, all are loss making. But the inherent nature of any capital asset is like it is built for the 60 years, 100 years. So if when we are building, we are considering the traffic after 50, 60 years. So it will not come on the day one, so it will be lost in the initial year. But how we can enhance the ridership by providing all this last mile connectivity.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that. Continuing on the policy question, I'd like to talk to Mr. Anu Sharma. He's been a proponent of last mile electric mobility, including being a president of the E-Rickshaw Federation. And this form of transport has, been serving many cities, especially in North India, but it also has run into many policy level bottlenecks. So I think we'd like to hear from him on what are his perspectives on what is the role of e-rickshaws in last mile mobility and how it can be deployed to the interest of the society and debottlenecked.
थैंक यू मैम, आपके साथ कई सालों से काम कर रहे हैं. पूरे हिंदुस्तान में अगर हम दिल्ली को माने, यहाँ यूपी, बिहार, बंगाल, असम, कहीं सरकार की मदद नहीं लेनी पड़ी, ना सब्सिडी लेनी पड़ी इस सारे प्रोजेक्ट को खड़ा करने के लिए. आदरणीय नितिन गडकरी जी का विज़न था कि पैडल रिक्शा हटाना है और इसको लेके आना है, लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट देनी है. हम लोगों का झगड़ा उन लोगों से था जो व्हीकल बनाते हैं उनका पर सीट 50,000 70,000 आता है। ये व्हीकल 20-25,000 पर सीट के ऊपर आना शुरू हुआ और जो व्हीकल चला रहा था उसका रनिंग कॉस्ट इतना फ़र्क था इनसे कि वो लगभग, अगर गरीब आदमी इस व्हीकल को चलाता है फ्यूल और इसके कंपेयर में, तो लगभग 500 रुपये पर डे ज़्यादा कमाने लग गया। जो आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कहा कि जो अंत्योदय होना चाहिए, आखिरी आदमी को इनकम में 3 से 5 गुना इनकम ऊपर जाना चाहिए, तो हमारे जो ड्राइवर्स थे उन ड्राइवर्स की इनकम बढ़ी। लगभग आप माने कि महीने में वो 45,000 से ऊपर के आदमी बन गए जो 12, 13, 14,000 रुपये पे काम कर रहे थे। और गर्व की बात है, बिल्कुल सब्सिडी नहीं ली है। जो सब्सिडी की गाजर हम पे लटकाई गई वो कभी मिली नहीं, और जो मिली उसमें क्या स्कैम है सब लोगों को पता ही है। किन लोगों को मिली, देनी आखिरी आदमी को थी, आखिरी आदमी को कुछ मिला नहीं, बीच के लोगों ने जो किया। पर मेरा ये कहना है कि हम लोग जो अभी काम कर रहे हैं, और संजय गंजू जी और वैभव जी तो समझ रहे हैं मैं क्या बात बोल रहा हूँ, हमें बड़ा सारा काम बाकी है। क्योंकि 1988 मोटर व्हीकल एक्ट जितना उस समय कर लिया वैभव जी के साथ, उसमें भी बहुत सारा गैप बाकी है। सिर्फ टू व्हीलर की बात करें तो लगभग 75% प्लस माइनस टू व्हीलर है सड़क पे। सुलज्जा जी तो इस बिज़नेस में सबसे पुराने लोगों में से हैं। अभी इनलीगल व्हीकल आना शुरू हो रहा है और इतना ज़्यादा आ रहा है, लगभग अभी 2.5 लाख से 3 लाख व्हीकल इनलीगल सड़क पे आ रहा है, जिसको मोटर व्हीकल एक्ट से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। हम सरकार को ये कहना चाह रहे हैं, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट हाईवे के माध्यम से हैवी इंडस्ट्री को, कि जो सर्टिफाइड व्हीकल है और टेस्टेड व्हीकल है, मतलब जिसको हम नॉन व्हीकल कहते हैं, जिसके अंदर टू व्हीलर बिक रहा है, इसका गैप कम क्यों नहीं कर रहे इसके टेस्ट पे या इसके ऊपर। जैसे 3 व्हीलर के ऊपर गैप उस समय वैभव जी को ध्यान है करके ख़त्म किया गया, तो ये इनलीगल को, मतलब इसको अगर ग्रेजुएट करना है तो आप इसको कुछ छूट दें। आप इतना टफ टेस्ट और ये सब चीज़ें रख लेते हैं कि लोग बिना रजिस्ट्रेशन के सड़क पे आते जा रहे हैं। और जैसे
और बिना लाइसेंस के भी
वो मतलब उसमें 4 चीज़ें हैं, लाइसेंस है, रजिस्ट्रेशन है, और मैन्युफैक्चरर्स की भी बात कर रहे हैं। मैन्युफैक्चर को भी किसी चीज़ की ज़रूरत नहीं है, उसने एक टेस्ट रिपोर्ट कराया कि मैं नॉन व्हीकल हूँ और वो राजा हो गया सड़क का। तो मेरा ये कहना है कि अगर हम 100% आने वाले समय में जाएंगे तो इसमें नाजायज़ कितना होगा। तो नाजायज़ नहीं होना चाहिए, जायज़ होना चाहिए। जितना व्हीकल सड़क के ऊपर है, कल को इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर बदनामी नहीं आनी चाहिए कि आप सड़क पे आ तो गए, आपने ग्रीन कर लिया और आप क्रूड ऑयल से बाहर आ गए, पर आप लोग ग्रेजुएट नहीं हो, आपका सर्टिफिकेट कहाँ है, आपने कब इस लेवल को पार किया। तो मैं इस मंच से आप सबके माध्यम से यही कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि जो ड्राइवर चला रहा है उसका क्या कसूर है, जो एंड यूज़र है उसका क्या कसूर है। उसको सस्ती गाड़ी मिल रही है। आपको शायद पता होना चाहिए कि $200 से भी नीचे चाइना से गाड़ी चलती है ये, और इंडिया में आके सड़क पे आने के लिए कहीं ना कहीं इसको $400 भी नहीं लगते हैं, और सिर्फ वो 1,000-1,500 रुपये के लिए फंस जाती है और वो नाजायज़ हो जाती है, और जिसके कारण बदनामी होती है। पर हमें इसकी ज़रूरत है। आप देख रहे हैं कि 100% अभी चाइना में टू व्हीलर उन्होंने सिटीज़ के अंदर ईवी किया है, 3 व्हीलर में भी ऑलमोस्ट वो कर रहे हैं। हम लोग इसलिए छोटे व्हीकल्स की बात कर रहे हैं कि 75-80% शेयर ही इनका है सड़क के ऊपर। और दिल्ली जैसे शहरों में जो पोल्यूशन पेट्रोल के स्कूटर कर रहे हैं, अगर इनको एक दिन में हटा दिया जाए तो कितना पोल्यूशन का फ़र्क पड़ता है। तो मेरा ये कहना है कि एक्ट और रूल के अंदर जो गैप है उसके ऊपर सुलज्जा जी चेयरमैन है इसकी, उसके लिए मैं बार बार रिक्वेस्ट संजय जी से भी करता हूँ, सुलज्जा जी से भी करता हूँ कि आप प्लीज़ 3 महीने इसके ऊपर डेली बात कर लें। उसके बाद 3-3 महीने ना करें, कोई बात नहीं। वो 3-3 महीने वाले में एक्चुअली बड़ी स्पीड से काम होने वाला काम है। आप पूना होते हैं, हम दिल्ली में होते हैं, आपके बिहाफ पे हम भी काम कर सकते हैं, हम आपके एक हिस्सा हैं। पर मुझे ये कहना है कि जो सपना गडकरी जी ने, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने देखा है, वो नीचे के व्हीकल्स को लीगल करने की जिम्मेवारी हम लोगों की है, हमारी इंडस्ट्री की है। बाकी फ्यूल पे भी हम काम कर रहे हैं, पर कहीं ना कहीं 2 व्हीलर 3 व्हीलर को करने में जो कमेटी संजय गंजू जी ने और वैभव जी ने बनाई है, आपको अध्यक्ष बनाया है, हम सब उसमें एक पार्टिसिपेट करके एक्ट रूल और जो स्टेट्स के अंदर दिक्कत है, आपको मैडम पता ही होगा, सबको पता ही है, दिल्ली के अंदर अभी बड़ी दिक्कत हो रही है। एंटी करप्शन ब्रांच ने ड्राइवर्स उठाने शुरू कर दिए हैं। यहाँ कुछ लोग बैठे होंगे, उनको पता होगा। और अगर ड्राइवर को एंटी करप्शन ब्रांच इन्वेस्टिगेशन में उठा के ले जाती है तो उस पूरी इंडस्ट्री का भट्टा कैसे बैठता है। बेचने वाला परेशान, बनाने वाला परेशान, खरीदने वाला परेशान। तो उसको क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं जो बाकी फ्यूल के ऊपर गाड़ियाँ हो रही हैं, उनके टीसी होल्डर्स ने गड़बड़ नहीं की, क्या आरटीओ ने उसकी रजिस्ट्रेशन के अंदर गड़बड़ नहीं की? तो अगर हम ग्रीन ट्रांसपोर्ट के ऊपर इस लेवल पे जा रहे हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं अपने को एक्ट रूल के अंदर वो रियायत देनी पड़ेगी। अगर क्लास में 40 बच्चे हैं और उसमें पीछे थोड़े कम समझ के बच्चे हैं, उनको भी पढ़ाना सीखना पड़ेगा सरकार को, और उसको ग्रेजुएट करके आगे लेके आना पड़ेगा। और हम लोग नए हैं, उन लोगों को तो इतने वर्ष हो गए सड़क के ऊपर आए हुए, और हमारे ऊपर पेटेंट लागू नहीं होता, इसलिए हमारे मैन्युफैक्चर भी ज़्यादा हो गए। तो कहीं ना कहीं इसको थोड़ा अलग से बैठ के बात करनी है, यही बात है। थैंक्स अ लॉट। बात बहुत सारी थी बट समय की कमी है। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much. I think here I'd like to comment that, over the last 7-8 years, when India is making its move towards e-mobility, the government has been fairly forthcoming. So ऐसे जो भी issues है, I think if we debate and come with a consensus, definitely we can go and represent. So I appreciate that you are bringing up, and certainly we should deliberate. Whereas when I hear the topic of biofuels, I feel that the policy framework needs much more consensus forming and policy making. So perhaps we need to put more effort there, but that's your expertise. Huh? So let me turn back to Mr. Kutty. Let me ask you also that, for leapfrogging of e-mobility, let's say we have made a beginning. In two-wheelers and three-wheelers, actually we are almost getting to critical mass. And I'm very bullish that we will, because as you rightly said, that the vehicles have become affordable, price parity has been nearly arrived at, people are finding it very user-friendly. So people are asking for it. So I'm very bullish that it will come to critical mass without much more government intervention. Now the subsidy is almost coming to an end, but the industry feels prepared. Whereas if I look at cars, I feel that there is a lot more to do in order to gain any kind of critical mass. So I'll ask this question to both of you. What do you think are the policy interventions? What do you think are the ecosystem creation efforts, whether it's charging, whether it's battery recycling, whether it's supply chain, whether it's incentives? What do you think are the 2 or 3 very critical things that are needed for electric cars and commercial vehicles to gain critical mass?
So normally the electric vehicle conversation is hovering around, the smaller vehicles, especially cars, two-wheelers, three-wheelers. But there's a big challenge which is there with reference to commercial vehicles, which is the elephant in the room. So big commercial vehicles, if you have the payload versus the ability of the vehicle to carry and the battery weight, it really doesn't make too much sense to electrify heavy-duty, heavy haulage vehicles. So their solutions like hydrogen, green hydrogen are the true solutions. With smaller vehicles which are LCVs, etc., again you have a combination of electrics and hydrogen, and it has its own cost of ownership and parity, etc., which is also, then there's also a question of, using hydrogen in internal combustion engines, and then, that itself is an amazing solution for commercial vehicles. Now your question is, in the case of two-wheelers and three-wheelers, there's an economic advantage, the customers have realized it, and it is on its own steam, the initial government support really helped the mandate. But with reference to four-wheelers especially, we have almost reached a point where it is plateauing. And we are probably the biggest electric vehicle manufacturers of four-wheelers in the country in the passenger car segment. And when, company like you, he just mentioned what Maruti's plans are, Hyundai is coming with that, and several others. When all players start actually pushing on several of these together, then the market uptake starts happening. Now, let's assume that I put up a charger system, or, Maruti puts up a charger system. We are not saying that, you cannot bring a Maruti vehicle and charge it here. Or if you have MG is putting it up, it's welcome. So, electric sahi hai, is what MG said. And we believe that electric sahi hai. And when it is sahi, it does not matter, it does not really matter which manufacturer wins this game. What are we saying? What is Maruti saying? What is Tata Motors saying? What is Hyundai saying? We are only saying one thing. India has to win. And for India to win, we cannot import some of the understanding that we have in different parts of the world. We have to have a unique solution which has got destination technologies which serves the mandate of the people. Now, how do we go that? It's a combination of mandates, it's a combination of incentives, it's a combination of charging infrastructure and other systems, including manufacturers coming together, ecosystem partners coming together. But at the central question also the product. Earlier, the product would do probably 150 kilometers range. Now our recent products can do about 500 kilometers range. And with new battery technologies, with critical minerals which are available in this country, like sodium and iron, if we really go to that technology with 1000 kilometers or 800 kilometers range, then this question of charging infrastructure, etc. becomes secondary because you can charge at home. And then electricity acts are also getting modified in ways which we never understand. There is peer-to-peer trading, rooftop solar is able to give green charging, etc., etc. So this, we are at the nascent stage of this evolution. Something like, when pre-COVID, when biofuels just started the journey, we are almost at a point, we are starting the journey, and in 4-5 years' time, we may say that, we have a solution which is good for the country. It's a combination of many of these factors. I think all of us are agreed that, this country has to have a unique and beautiful solution that serves as a model for the world. Thank you.
I think in few minutes we'll open up for questions. Just give us a few minutes, just a few more questions. Yeah, we will open up for questions, yeah. Anything you'd like to add to this, Ashish? नहीं देंगे आपको मौका, don't worry.
So I think Kutty ji have covered it almost comprehensively. He's answered everything. Yeah, I'm saying you've covered it comprehensively, answered almost everything. May I add some bit of a different perspective also? See, A.S. Morth also mentioned about, from a government perspective support, I think probably we are the best in the world. Look at, you add PLIs, you'll add road tax, you'll add subsidy, you'll add GST. We're looking at numbers of 35 to 60%. I think that does not exist anywhere in the world. Now it's our job to convert that into reality. But that's while one part of it. The other part is, if you look at, let's say, the affordable segment. आज 12.5 लाख रुपए से नीचे वाले segment में, there are 65 ICE models, and there are 3 EV models. As you go up, yes, there are higher EV models, and you go further up, there are much more higher EV models. So what I'm trying to say is, we all know that the acceptability, the manufacturability within the affordable segment or a segment below 10 lakh rupees is genuinely difficult, and that's where what Mulay also mentioned and everybody mentioned is, that's where the other clean mobility technologies comes into play. So there was this question about, both Ravi sir and Mulay mentioned about, CBG being sold at a discount. I think with Sampoon scheme being worked out, it's going to go away. We will all probably have good times in CBG area. From a potential perspective, let me give an example of, as Maruti has put up plants on CBG. 10 गाय का गोबर is sufficient to run 1 car per day. And we have 30 crore गाय here in India. So the potential is almost huge. We all know the numbers that we're talking about, potential of CBG, we're talking about 240 MMSCMDs of potential. Even if we take just 5% of that, we're talking about 20% blending in CNG, and as per NITI report, 20% blending means CNG is carbon neutral. And we're not just talking about vehicles, newer vehicles, we're also talking about vehicles, CNG vehicles on the road. So potential is humongous. Now let's talk about flex fuel vehicles, it's been talked about. So as was discussed, we are not just talking about prototypes, we're talking about actual vehicles, and we are ready to launch the vehicle, and we will launch the vehicles whether there are enablers or not enablers. So we will do that, yeah. The point I'm trying, look at the potential. So as it was discussed today, we have an excess of 800 crore liters of ethanol available. One flex fuel car is equal to 5 petrol E20 cars. Okay. So if you just compute it back, we're talking about even if we have 10% of new car sales as flex fuel vehicle, just 10%, we're talking about 800 crore liters of ethanol uptake. That's the potential, and that's where I feel while EVs have to be progressed and accelerated at all by all levels, there is a good amount of demand for CBG CNG cars and flex fuel cars, and of course other vehicles also, which will accelerate, and we all will coexist. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Thank you to both of you. Ritesh, let me ask you a quick question. India already has a huge population of vehicles. Is retrofitting an option? For example, for electric buses, I know you've done a project for retrofitting. Do we, any of us, believe, and how do you feel about retrofitment as a way to reduce the emissions and make transport green?
Yeah. So I think there are 20 lakh buses in India, and I think 10% less than 10% are electric actually. So what government is doing the right thing, that any incremental procurement they are going with the EV electric buses only. But what about the legacy fleet, old fleet actually? Whether we are going to wait for them to age down and then we will substitute, or retrofit provides an opportunity to convert this fleet into the electric vehicle in day one. So deployment is faster, it is cost efficient because it comes at the half of the cost of the new electric vehicle, and it is resource efficient because the same resources, same bodybuilding can be used actually.
But do you think it's commercially viable?
Yeah, it's commercially viable.
STUs.
So, for instance, we have secured contract for conversion of 200 diesel buses in Telangana to retrofit to the electric, and the price what we have given them is less than their diesel cost actually.
Okay, very interesting. Well, I think on that note, I would say that we've had wonderful insights from our panel members, and so diverse. I think it's clear that the future of India is green, whether it's light green, dark green, bottle green, olive green. There are so many perspectives. But I think we're all collectively working towards, making India clean and green, and that's what's heartening. I feel that our government has, proactive approach on policy, but perhaps what's needed is unification. There are multiple agencies, and I think therefore organizations like IFGE have a role to play, because they can bring the stakeholders together and they can bring consensus and then help us to reach the policy makers. So Sanjay ji, Vaibhav ji, I think everybody here acknowledges your role to help the industry in taking the right decisions and working with the policy makers to take the agenda forward towards really making India self-reliant and green in its transport and all other areas. With that, I think we have about 20 minutes. So if there are questions from the audience, we can take maybe 4 or 5. Please limit it to a question and not a general remark, so you can address to any of the panelists. Maybe somebody can take the mic. Introduce yourself so that we know, about your background.
Hello. My name is Harpal Singh Grewal. Introduction थोड़ी मेरी लंबी है. I'm an organic farmer since '92. I'm the first organic farmer in North India, and I'm founder member of the first steering committee which was formed in the sector. Anyways, that's besides the point. So first, I congratulate this dais and the organizers, because this is what was needed, and this is what for which I have worked for 34 years. I have a lot of things, because we have research companies, because government didn't support us. Nakli organic bik raha hai, so I got out and got into research. So research was to complete the cycle of nature, which we've been able to complete it. And I'm here to congratulate the entire audience here that we have had 2 disruptive technologies recently worked out, doubling the energy of solar panels, as well as making batteries out of supercapacitors, which hasn't happened if somebody knows about what supercapacitors are. So आपको charging की भी कोई problem नहीं है. That I can assure you. Coming back to the sugarcane. See, molasses is a food. I'm an organic farmer, and I believe in what our traditional things. We don't need to follow the Westerners at all, please, for God's sake. Their language is 26 letters, and we have at least 52 letters. They have to learn from us, not we have to learn from them. So molasses is a complete food. Why should we make ethanol, methanol out of the molasses? In sugarcane, you have trash, you have they say bagasse, and you have the sludge as well. You know, you can make enough gas. Biomass is divided into two portions, wet and dry. Everybody is talking about CBG. जो ड्राई बायोमास है उसको आप पानी से वेस्ट करके कितनी एनर्जी बर्बाद करते हैं? 6% efficiency, only 6% efficiency, and nobody is bothering about the slurry. And farmers are really, howling for the fertilizer. Nobody is making it because too much subsidy in it, and nobody is bothering about the biomass gasification. We have dry biomass about 750 million tons, something, 1,000 to 700, and 60% is the efficiency. And I've been working on it, and our prototype has been approved by the PMO. All these technologies, right, starting from organic farming, then you see the gasification, and the gasification, what it does, it gives you biochar, it gives you thermal energy, it gives you, bio oil, which is so many different things. Total industry will run. Why we are missing? Nobody is talking about biomass gasification. कितना कुछ आपको दे रही है वो, और सबसे ज़्यादा है, आपको कहीं से कुछ import नहीं करना. Nobody has ever talked. I'm really shocked about it. All the learned people are here. Thank you.
Anybody would like to remark on any of this? Any of the experts?
No, the suggestions are really, really good, as we have said, and what you are saying has a point. And when you talk about agricultural residues, biomass, the country has a very, very strong plan to convert into CBG. The aggregation models and the plants are already running. How I can say with confidence is that I'm very bullish on this, so I'm invested in these kind of projects, and I think there will be a tremendous scope. And I fully agree on one point which you make very, very passionately. Nothing which is worth should be wasted, and that is where this country is going.
Sir, question है कि आपका wet biomass is only 80 to 90 million tons. Here it is 1,000 million tons. How are you ignoring?
No. Your passion is well understood, and the point I'm making is that the point I'm making is that it is being addressed. That's the short point.
We have a question there.
Yeah. Yeah, hi, my name is Rohit. We're working on CO2 to methanol with some international collaborators. Could I ask Dr. Gupta and maybe Mr. Mulay as well, what do you feel about methanol? Partly, would it go into, if we build a methanol ecosystem, do you think methanol will go to SAF? Do you think methanol will potentially go to flex fuel vehicles? Or is it sort of bending towards marine sector?
Yeah, it's a very good question. In fact, methanol, we have studied methanol for when ethanol blending was going on. And various times from Niti Aayog, this thing came, and we have examined that. But there are certain issues of infrastructure, parallel infrastructure to be created. Methanol as a safety equation, because oil companies have, because the flame is not visible. So that also created a problem because of handling methanol. There was some human hazards, the health hazards of methanol. So all those things together, it was decided that ethanol is on the run, because even we thought about GEM, gasoline, ethanol, methanol mixture. And some studies were also made in 2018-19, which that time. So, but what is coming out now from this methanol, because it's going to be a very good, marine fuel. And I had a discussion with IMO last month. We had interactions where they have, the engine manufacturer, they have already developed methanol-based engines, and all the ships are also coming out. Almost 200 plus ships are also coming out. So it's going to take a very good commercial shape in the marine sector. So my lookout will be, so globally, let us concentrate on that, because that's a sector which is hard to abate. And that's why the CO2 to methanol, this is going to be a very good go for that, because at least some delta price absorptions with the carbon market in place, it is going to be a good go. That's what I think. Yeah.
And just to add to that, sir, so if the source of the methanol is in the middle of the country, then obviously getting it to the coast is going to be difficult unless it goes to inland transportation, which is something Mr. Gadkari talked about before. But do you think with the ASTM classification or approval certification, I think, of methanol to SAF pathway, which I think is going to happen in the coming months, do you think that there's appetite in India to take methanol into SAF as well?
See, methanol to SAF, similar to ethanol to SAF, this is going to happen. But the issue here is today in the world, not a single such technology has got commercial success. That's a problem. So we are fanatically looking for these areas because, it's again hard to abate. SAF, unless you have a SAF, you cannot run a flight on electric, neither on hydrogen. So that's a big challenge. And the requirement is huge for the country like us. So we are also open to that methanol to SAF, but technology availability is becoming an issue when you are converting to methanol as a fuel, okay. But as methanol converting into the SAF, we have to wait for some more time to see that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Radhakrishnan. This is Mr. Atul and Mr. Santanu Gupta. That for the 1G ethanol, there is a government procurement price is there, depending upon the source, for the grain-based, for the molasses or sugarcane juice-based thing. For the 2G ethanol, is there what is the take-off price from the government side? Is there any price assurance is there for the 2G ethanol so people can put up a plan? Because a lot of plants have been put up by the various oil companies. They are in the various stages of coming off online. So unless otherwise there is a procurement price, how do you expect somebody to come out with the 2G ethanol plant?
Okay, thank you. See, actually what happened in 2G ethanol, we had a lot of, excitement, rather I should say. Government was also very much bullish on that because it came as when the 1G ethanol was not sufficient. I'm talking about 2016, 15, 16, where we saw, because only the ethanol requirement will be actually 5%, and 2G, if we open up, then it can take up another 10 to 15% because huge feedstocks were available, all biomass and all. But the way we have traveled, because all the oil companies have developed one plant each today in the country, and this is a record for the world. Not a single country in the world has done such a huge investment in this segment, right? So that shows the intent. But the issue here is we need to have some more tweak because we have faced problems starting from the aggregation collection of paddy straw from the ground. And from that paddy straw, Mr. Atulji will bear me out after on this because the silica content is so high. Because this is a big challenge for, it's not paddy straw in US or Europe. There are two paddy straws are really together is Thailand and India, characteristically. Because high silica contents create a lot of problems in the machineries. The issue is not technology, which I can tell the Praj, which the technology has given to all these oil companies, it's a fantastic technology. Conversion, no challenge. We have already got 99.9% pure ethanol from our 2G plant at Panipat, and we have blended with MS and also running. But the issue is that solid content which is coming up, converting and getting the linguscellulosic part out of that and breaking the lignin and giving in slight water gets, silicon gets like brick. It's a very strong thing. And it is affecting the wear and tear of the machineries. which are supposed to see the pre-treatment. So this is getting cracked now because a lot of study has been already done. In fact, Praj has also done a lot of studies, and he has a lot of investment has been made to replace some of the areas. I personally believe this 2G is going to be successful for SAF directly. Because the price, whatever you point, now 2G ethanol price point may be ranging from 130 to 140, if you see the today's condition. But it will come down, but it will not be compatible with 1G. So transport use will not be justified. Globally, we are positioning 2G as a SAF conversion. By the time alcohol to jet technology will be stabilized, and 2 liters of alcohol gives 1 liter of SAF. And also the byproduct is Atulji, renewable diesel, which is important now, because biodiesel we could not make much headway because of a lot of other issues. But this is the combination of renewable diesel coming out from the SAF plant, having a SAF product produced, and 2.5x is fine of jet fuel rate. And that's going to crack these things. But it will take some more time, maybe a couple of years I'm looking at. I think Atulji can add something about the technology part. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Very good question, Radhakrishnanji.
Thank you, Shantanuji. So I'll answer about the pricing of it, and what he said is right, that when about 4 years back, this plant of IOCL, Panipat, and then BPCL and HPCL were getting discussed. The pricing was the feedstock price, particularly again as mentioned about the waste. The paddy straw was available at between 200 rupees a ton. But by the time they actually started purchasing, the paddy straw price has gone up to 3,000 rupees a ton. So the feedstock cost is something which has gone by 10 times high. The conversion cost practically remains same. It has gone up because of the, again, the euro and dollar pricing. Okay, so we'll have to have the enzymes also to be manufactured in India. But internationally what's happening, that today the CI number of 2G ethanol is as low as 15 or 20. The gasoline CI number is probably 94. The sugar stream CI number ranging between 30 to probably 45. So internationally, when they have blending mandates, they talk about if they blend probably 10%, they give an equivalent benefit of 20%. So pricing automatically becomes, if you have a price of maybe syrup is about 65 rupees, you can have an equivalent price of 130 rupees. So there are various mechanisms which are possible. At the same time, what he said is right, Shantanuji, that eventually the sustainable aviation fuel, the whole driver is that the low CI number. And the moment you have the lowest CI number, which is from a 2G, the pricing will be much better. There is also discussions happening between that the pricing for the SF will also based on the CI number. So if you have a CI number X, 50, they will have X price. If you have the lower CI number, the pricing will be high. So it is something which is getting evolved. And SF is a hard to abate sector, which is much more attractive, especially from the low CI number perspective. And 2G ethanol is an absolute apt fit for that.
Can I have just one follow-on question, if you don't mind? See, I can understand that 2G ethanol through a biomass route where that, the feedstock is a farmer dependent, it has got a cost because you have to do value addition to that one. You have municipal waste. Even the morning minister was mentioning municipal waste is free of cost. It's perennial source, especially for the metro cities. Biomass is available in rural areas. Metros doesn't have biomass. You cannot transport. If you start transporting biomass, it becomes a problem. First is procurement, and the transportation of biomass makes the project unviable. If you have municipal waste, if you are able to use the gasification route and then make ethanol out of that, it is much more cheaper, much more, you don't have to transport ethanol. Mr. Santanu Gupta is aware of that experiment, what we did. But unfortunately, we are not able to come to the plan. We have put up a plan. And then alternate route is going to be much more cheaper than even 1G ethanol.
Yeah, that is correct, because IOC has taken up a demo plan, study, and we found it is excellent. You can say you need not to segregate the waste, because the CBG challenge is you should get organic waste, pure organic waste. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult when the waste is mixed. But that technology, the plasma gasification technology, which was very suitable for this, but because of a lot of issues in municipalities and then areas, and the cost of the investment was high, demo was not there, it was not tried. But now I think, Radhakrishnanji, time is coming where one good size demo, if it can be done, then this will really show the future path. And that is going to solve a lot of problems in our these things. And I fully agree with you. The transporting waste together, it's a futile exercise. We should be captive. We should have the area of the population, maybe 10 lakh plus cities, have a gasification plant and convert the all municipal waste into energy. Syngas you are getting, and syngas can be converted to any form of the energy, including green hydrogen. So I think future, there is a very lot of possibilities in there. Thank you.
I think, shall we conclude with that? Okay, one last question and then we'll conclude, then we'll be exactly on time.
My question will be to Shantanu, sir. Sir, over last couple of months, we have seen, like, due to squeezing margins and some kind of policy incentives, like a lot of teapot refineries in China and especially in Southeast Asia have flipped over to HVO, the renewable diesel, over SAF, because that kind of flexibility gives them that kind of leverage. So due to these profitability of the economics, do you see like ATJ or the other pathways losing out to HEFA in the near term, because it's always being said that it's already scalable and this and that, and this feedstock availability is around the clock?
It's a very good question, because you have reminded me in 2012-13 when we were only handling C-heavy molasses. I told that. The similar fate is going to be for HEFA, because the availability constraints across the globe. If you see today's requirement at 10% of blending by 2030, it's 8 million metric ton of SAF, right? And if you see the challenges of collection, aggregation, UCO, and making it happen, the country like India, I'm telling you, it is going to be the third largest aviation consumer, right? And this is going to be the second largest by 2035-40. So this have a different channel to go, right? I'm not elaborating it, you can understand, because UCO is not UCO. First of all, our cooking habit, we consume the last drop of oil. Most of the family, they don't aware of that, whether they used cooking oil, what are the health hazards. Number two, the top 5-star company hotels, when I searched like a madman in 2015 when I was going for biodiesel, we saw they are very, very difficult to get those things, no accounting is possible. So our country, I don't know what is the fate. In both the oil, we are dependent on import. We import almost 70% edible oil. Yes. We import 88% of oil for surviving. So you can understand the channel, how it can switch, because there is no physical difference. And chemical difference hardly matters, value of human life, right? So yes, HEFA can go up to say 3%, 4% or something like the initial part. 27, CORSIA is implemented. 27, 28, 29, 30 onwards. You must have the alternatives. HEFA will maintain. I am not telling you to not maintain. Unless the supplier of the feedstock charges very high, it has already started, 120 rupees. So this is the whole ecosystem can be managed, and parallelly the other things will come and add on. Alcohol to jet is next line, and then coming to the power to liquid and the Fischer top, with this gasification is also going to be good that. So this is going to graduate one by one. Like we have graduated from 2012 to here, we have cracked almost all the feedstock in 1G, even 2G. That's the thing.
Okay, we'd like to thank everyone, also the audience, for being so engaged and asking wonderful questions. I would like to thank all the panelists. Let's give them a big round of applause, I think. I will request Sanjay ji to conclude and to also share about tomorrow's program with all of you. Thank you.
So, I thank Sulaja ji for conducting this session so nicely. So we need to... Yeah, but it was very insightful and we had a very good discussion and covering all sectors, all aspects of the sector. So we'll have this formality at the last to present mementos. I'll request Vikram Gulati ji to please come forward and present mementos to all panelists. These are plants, green plants in green energy, green transport conclave. So we'll start with Sulaja ji. Anuj ji, आप भी आइए ऊपर. Thank you. Atul ji. Thank you so much. So we'll have a group picture. Vikram ji, please. Vaibhav ji, aap bhi. Tushar ji, aap bhi aa jao. At least we'll have a group picture with all esteemed panelists. And then we will I request you to please join us for tea. And tomorrow we are starting the session exactly at 10. So please try to be here by 9:30 so that we are able to start the session at 10. So please join us for tea before you depart.